one question to ask is maybe a closing question. I mean, Sabatho, you were saying that the left and working class people in Tanzania need their own movement. You've helped found the Jukwaa la Wajamaa Tanzania, or the Tanzania Socialist Forum. And what I wanna ask is, Tanzania and its experience of African socialism under Nyerere, which once upon a time was hegemonic, you would expect to still have a lot of ideological resonance with the population today. So what I'm wondering is, where is Nyerere's legacy currently with ordinary Tanzanian people? Is the belief successfully implemented by neoliberalism that socialist ideas have been discredited? Or do you think that there is still some of that sort of bubbling under the surface? Is this still a yearning of a lot of Tanzanians to return, not necessarily maybe to the policies that Nyerere implemented per se, but at least a vision for society that he had? And how do we rejuvenate that vision in Tanzania today?
It's impossible to live in Tanzania and struggle in Tanzania without talking about Nyerere. I mean, he's still very popular with the masses, and his major legacy that he left to Tanzania in the world was socialism, the Arusha Declaration. And actually, the Arusha Declaration went further, because in his earlier articles, that's when he talked about African socialism as a way of going back probably and try to retrieve some elements of the classless African society. And it was where he was even saying it's possible for a billionaire. He simply defined socialism as the attitude of the mind. But later, after 1967, especially with the pronouncement of the Arusha Declaration, it went further. I would say it was much more radical than his earlier African socialist writings, because it talked about, it had elements of class and class struggles within it. So if you talk to the masses today, I mean, we were celebrating his legacy last week, Nyerere Day, 14th of October. And everywhere, if you watch every TV, his speeches are being played. Every politician, if he wants to win, even if everyone knows that this one will undo Nyerere's legacy, he will have to cite and quote Nyerere, that is following the footsteps of Nyerere. So even Tundu Lissu, he was very anti-Nyerereist, but now he even quotes Nyerere, because it's impossible to just criticize with the masses. So he's still very popular. I mean, it was just last week when I was at a conference organized by Mviwata, the largest peasant association in Tanzania. So I was asking the farmers, because we were going pillar by pillar of the Arusha Declaration, and we were asking each pillar, trying to redefine it and not redefine it, trying to discuss and ponder on it. And everybody was saying, so I was asking them, what's wrong with this? And everybody's saying there's nothing wrong. We want the Arusha Declaration. When Nyerere died, that was on the heyday of neoliberalism, but he made a prediction. His last interview, a few months before his death, his last interview with Ikaweba Banting, he said he still believes that in the end, Tanzania will go back to the basic principles and ideals of the Arusha Declaration. The working people of Tanzania, and you talked about Jukwaa la Wajamaa Tanzania. When we started it, it was just an elitist forum of university graduates meeting to read, Marx and other revolutionary writings. But later we expanded in terms of trying to see, is it possible to get the same knowledge from the working people? We started going to the working people. I want to tell you, every sector of the working people that we have forged the links with is still is asking for the basic element, pushing for the basic elements of the Arusha Declaration, that is socialism. So I think Michaela Hollod wrote a review of otherwise a book that I edited, which is a collection of narratives by different working people, whether you talk about miners, whether it's bus drivers, whether motorcycle taxi drivers, whether it's street vendors in urban areas, women under the loan and savings credit associations, and all the working people from all sectors. All of them are talking about one thing: neoliberalism, as it exhibits itself in their sector, has failed, one, and two, they are pushing for some form of socialism, one for federalism.
I think we lost. Elisa, do you want to quickly just...
Yeah, just to follow up on Sabatho, the huge legacy of Wajamaa in Tanzania is the structure of grassroots popular democracy, of village assemblies, and the political education that people get in Tanzania, because that structure exists. That's a huge legacy that makes grassroots politics in Tanzania a very exciting, vibrant field compared to many other countries, and that's why this legacy lives on, because there's a structure of direct democracy, which is at the basis of the idea of popular democracy, spearheaded by Nyerere. So Nyerere's anti-corruption politics were socialist anti-corruption politics. They were class politics, to bring the discussion to a close. There's also a legacy of populism that can become authoritarian, and this has to be remembered, because grassroots democracy in Tanzania can easily be crushed by sweeping decisions by the executive, and this tradition pre-existed Magufuli. So to bring back the analysis, this is not an analysis about individuals. This is not an analysis of the African dictator or the African corrupted leaders. We're looking at something much more structural here. And I also share Sabatho's hopes that popular democracy and direct democracy will prevail, because Tanzania has this huge potential left by the legacies of Wajamaa. Of course, I also share the apprehensions because of the increasing political violence and state repression. And I agree with Sabatho that it's in the hands of the majority how these tensions will and can be resolved.